So here we are in the second week of March, and it's still for some reason summer in our home, but I guess that's okay because that's not the only thing that's heating up, believe it or not. I myself am feeling a little hot, especially after my purchase from Michael's came in completely shattered and broken. And while I think some of this may be the result of the packaging, which was obviously not that hot, I don't think that it helped that I am pretty sure that somebody moved my package or tried to pick it up and then realized it was heavy and then dropped it. Because it was kind of odd to me that the ones that were broken and the ones that weren't. But either way, I absolutely fixated on this for quite some time during the course of this week and became obsessed with trying to glue these back together because I was so heartbroken. These were clearance items that I was so excited to have because I thought that, hey, this is going to help inspire me to want to spend more time in my kitchen and cooking, especially if I can decorate it with things that make me feel happy. Well, I guess so much for that because even with gluing these together with E6000 and using the black one, so hopefully it covers some of the cracks and damage, there's no way I can use these in my kitchen. Absolutely no way. Because these are like at the point where even though they're glued back together and they kind of look okay, you can't really wash them. It's gonna probably break again. And this is just kind of a temporary band-aid to help me try to enjoy it, even though I got refunded for it and it probably shouldn't be that big of a deal. I just am so tired of people where I live either moving my mail or touching my mail, and this was like the ultimate final straw for me. I'm sure that this was probably a combination of things, but there have been times where I have gone to go pick up packages that said they were delivered that just magically weren't there, and come to find out somebody else had moved them from where the shipper had left them and where the picture shows me where they've been left and put them somewhere else, so I end up playing like this hide and seek game, which is absolutely infuriating. I mean, there was this one time that I spent a couple of days looking for a package from a beauty supplier that had come in, and I got the picture proof that it was delivered, but somebody else moved it, and they moved it and put it on top of the fire extinguisher, which, like, why would I ever look there for a package? If you're gonna move my package, the literal least thing you can do is move it directly to my door. Otherwise, don't touch it. Like, it's not yours, don't touch. But I guess I'm the only one that grew up learning that lesson in life because just where I'm at, these people are not so hot with all that. The plates took me a really long time to put back together, even though they were surprisingly easy to fit together. They just took the majority of a day, and then I went back and decided I was going to try to glue one of the bowls together too, which came out pretty good, but these things are ultimately just going to end up being used probably in my garden or with my indoor planting stuff, but there, like I said, is just no way that I can, in good faith, use these in the kitchen or with food, especially where they're not completely filled through a lot of the crack areas, and there definitely is some opportunity for porcelain shards to end up in food if I were to use them the way that I had wanted to use them. So it definitely is a bummer, but I mean, at least this was a free craft, I guess. Not that I really have the time to be able to do things like that, and truthfully, I probably should have just thrown all of this away, but I was determined to figure out a way to make use of this, and hopefully, in gluing it back together, I would feel less upset over the fact that once again there is some nonsense around getting packages delivered to where I live, which This is the death of me. Like, this should not be so difficult, but, you know, such is life. Violet was actually really encouraging while I decided to do this. And believe it or not, she actually left me alone. And that sounds so silly, but she actually left me alone for the duration of the time that it took for me to work on this project. And maybe that was because she had a project of her own to work on, which actually, believe it or not, has to do with clay as well. So once I got her all tied into her little clay apron to try to protect her Dora the Explorer costume, she went right to work with her air dry clay, making some little Easter eggs to put inside of the recycled packaging from the Cadbury eggs that she wanted to save. She really enjoys working with air dry clay, and I like watching her work with it. I just wish that it was a little bit less messy, because this can sometimes be tricky to clean, and when you get it on your clothes, like, the clothes are done. I wouldn't throw clothes that had air dry clay in the washing machine. I would just throw them out. So that's pretty much what happened to this little green apron once she was done, but thankfully they have plenty of these at the dollar store. I just personally do not trust clay dust or any of that down the sink in any of the sinks, to be honest. It really is something that I'm like, hey, use these wipes to clean your hands before you try to wash anything, because the clay residue, I feel like it's like pouring sand or concrete or something down your drain. And while that may not be totally accurate, I'd rather be safe than sorry, because plumbing issues can be super duper expensive. But this pretty much kept her busy for the entire day, and while I wish I could have sat down to do some of this with her, I mean, sometimes you just have to go your own way. But by the time that she was done with all of this, we made some time for fun by making some Lucky Charms cookies that we found at the grocery store. These, actually, I was expecting a little bit more than what we got. And what I mean by that is I was expecting, like, actual Lucky Charm shapes in the cookies instead of just colored round marshmallows. But 13 minutes later, absolutely none of that would be bothering Violet, because she would absolutely eat these no matter what they looked like. I feel like she really liked just the fact that they had marshmallows in them, and it wasn't really the whole aesthetic piece for her, I guess is the word. I don't know. I grew up on Lucky Charms, and the marshmallows are everything in that cereal. So, I mean, to me, this was just kind of like a sugar cookie with a bunch of colored marshmallows in it. But to Violet, it was a whole new kind of fun, so whatever. I think, as it usually goes, she still did prefer the dough over the actual cookie, but, you know, she's kind of silly like that.
Boo!
I see you.
You put me at rest of way. I don't have a to finish mine.
You didn't even try one.
I did!
It's 4:16 in the morning, and it's 73 degrees in here. It's just hot. So in sorting through my glass collectibles, I guess I have a lot of kombucha bottles up for recycling. I literally have no clue what to do with all of these, but I better come up with some type of idea soon, because the collection is kind of getting large. Maybe I should just start brewing my own kombucha and recycle the bottles that way. I don't really like using them for water, so they more often than not just end up for the plants. And I guess that's fine, but maybe water for the plants? I don't know. Either way, I haven't given up on my glass in the rock tumbler type of thing, but I have decided to start kind of pre-washing and cleaning them in mason jars that were previously used for plants and stuff. But I need to do something with this copper hummingbird thing in this pot that I found. I think I'm just going to sell the pot, because the plant that was in it is no more anymore, and the copper piece that's in there, well, I have this giant craft idea for it. It's just a matter of getting the time to actually do it, where I can take it apart and turn it into some type of sun catcher or wind chime looking thing, because I think the part with the actual hummingbird on it is pretty sweet, and it does unscrew from the rest of it, but it's just, what am I gonna do with the rest of it? And speaking of what am I gonna do with the rest of it, this pumpkin has been sitting out on our porch forever, and it has kind of sort of frozen over. But I think that it's time to kind of send it back to the earth as much as I can. So since it hasn't rotted really, it just froze, I decided to poke some holes in it and then cover it up with some dirt, and we'll be back in touch with it and see if it ever ends up growing anything, because that would be pretty cool to actually grow our own pumpkins this year. I'm not sure if we're going to actually accomplish this goal, but I'm going to do everything that I can to try. And worst case scenario, I just end up tilling this pumpkin in this pot and the seeds never grow, and I guess whatever's whatever.
Mom said to me, you know, sweetheart, one day you should settle down and marry a rich man. And I said, Mom, I am a rich man.
And I guess it's safe to say that that quote is generally how I feel every time that I get time to work out and keep working on myself. It just helps me to feel like a rich man, I guess. Happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. You know, just working out my body and helping my mind, because if you have a healthy, well-functioning body, your mind will help and follow as well. I feel like the two are so closely related that, you know, a lot of people lose sight of the fact that, hey, if your mind is cluttered, your house is probably cluttered. And if your, you know, body is out of shape, likely your mind is as well. And discipline, consistency, all those things are literally everything if you're ever trying to do anything well or excel. Some days I definitely get a lot more time than others to work out, and it definitely is a little bit of a struggle. But I am thankful for every tiny moment that I get to take for myself, because I still feel like I am recovering from giving birth, believe it or not. I feel like it definitely takes longer than society wants you to believe, especially if you're someone who is the sole parent and provider for your child. Like, expect longer recovery times. But it's worth it in the end, and we still have our fun with literally everything. I really thought that today Violet was going to be excited to help me out with planting the corn seeds that we saved to see if we can grow anything from the kernels. But she did not want anything to do with the dirt as soon as I brought that out, which is so strange because usually she's all about it. So I just ended up doing it myself. And I'm pretty sure that these probably won't turn into anything, but I think it's just going to be an interesting experiment to try. And, you know, maybe someday it will, but I think that what it's going to come down to is the fact that I am probably not going to have the time to complete this without Violet's help, because some of this is, in fact, just being done for her for educational purposes. It's not like I'm very aggressively trying to grow a garden. I'm just trying to show her little earth science pieces, because she did at one point show interest, and some days she has more interest than others in this activity. But once you start, you can't really stop. So I'm going to have to continue with role modeling it, and she can just pop in and out with the activity whenever she gets a chance. But I think that's kind of sort of the whole point. I mean, if she had her way, she'd be splashing in puddles all day.
Maybe a running leap?
Maybe.
All right, jump. Jump like you want to get your clothes muddy.
I don't want to.
Oh.
I don't want to get my clothes wet. This is my best outfit.
All right.
Well, I don't know. She definitely said she wanted to jump in the puddles, but I understand not wanting to get the Dora costume dirty. So I'm back in the kitchen trying to do a little bit more experimenting with the Cadbury eggs, and I thought this time that I would try Cadbury eggs in brownies. And let me tell you, I think this was an idea that was better in my head than could ever be executed, because what ended up happening is that the Cadbury eggs all sunk to the bottom of the batter and ended up either melting entirely into the brownies, which was slightly flavorful, but not really noticeable, really, that it was Cadbury eggs, or they got totally burnt. So I think maybe the better option is really just to make the brownies, frost the brownies, and then add the Cadbury eggs on top as some type of decoration, because I cannot think of any other way to add them to the brownie without frosting or something, because it just was not the hit that I was looking for in the baking department. And if you don't believe me, just check this out. Once I get the brownies out and cooled and all cut apart, it really becomes a game of where exactly did the Cadbury eggs go, because I literally barely see them at all. It wasn't until I had to really slow down and look very, very closely that I could start to see these like brown chocolate circles in the brownies right about here, and that's it. That's how they came out. They're still delicious, don't get me wrong, but just not really what I was going for or expecting. Late at night, if I wasn't working out, I was up doing, I think this is technically considered some type of bushcraft with plastic, where I'm melting and twining and twilling and making these all kinds of craziness. I decided to get some bigger totes to put these in so that way they can kind of lay flat, and it's working out all right, but I'm not sure what on earth I am going to do with all of this. I should probably figure that out. But between the rock tumbling of glass and the plastic melting and twirling, I definitely have plenty of crafts and my work cut out for me. And you know what? I think that my recycled crafting stuff at this point is kind of sort of starting to either get out of control or really about to take off. And I'm not really sure which one, but I feel like I am in the, I guess you could say, in between stages of a craft where you're kind of like hoarding the materials in a sense. I have literally had so many excellent ideas of what to do with all of this stuff, and it really does just come down to like executing it. But of course, I do have to make the pieces as well. So I don't know, I guess everything in time, and I'm still just kind of enjoying how this sounds in my house. I know it might sound totally crazy to some people, but it's a really relaxing sound to hear, just endlessly turning. And I feel like it helps to add some type of white noise-ish to my situation, so I feel like we have a little bit more privacy than we probably do, because some days I feel like there is absolute none. But for quite some time, I've just kind of sort of saved and stored the broken glass and kept it in bags and boxes and totes until I could throw it in the tumbler or whatever. So it's just kind of at the point right now where I'm sorting through the things that I've had in storage and seeing if I'm going to actually make use of them or if I'm just finally going to throw it out once and for all. And spoiler alert, I don't actually throw it out once and for all. So away we go with this, and hopefully I will have something more exciting to show you with my sea glass creations. But oh hey, check this out. I had some Mod Podge that got stuck in this bottle, and I just thought this was so oddly satisfying to remove. I mean, you just like twist it and pull it and oh, it just slides right out. It was so crazy cool. But back in the kitchen with my more practical crafts, I somehow decided that I was going to start dehydrating marshmallows. So I dehydrated a giant bag of marshmallows. And you know what? This has actually worked out really great for me as an extra bacon item, especially for brownies, where it helps them to be a little bit more fudgy and they seem like they're undercooked, but they're definitely not undercooked. All that it is the marshmallow melting inside of the brownie without burning, and it tastes so good. And no, unlike every other thing that you dehydrate, these actually end up taking up more space than when they are in their original form, but they are actually super duper tasty. And you know what? I think these will be better in hot chocolate than the little mini marshmallows when the time comes. So I think this is something that I'm probably going to continue to keep doing because, believe it or not, this bag is still going now through the end of summer, unlike mangoes, which I can never really seem to get to do much of anything with other than cut them, because unlike pineapples, they don't do so well in my juicer. But speaking of other things that really didn't do so well, I tried using this Crimpet thing. I think that's what it's called, but it is supposed to crimp your tortillas into like empanada type deals, but it really just doesn't. I think this would be a great tool for using with dough or pastry or something, but using a tortilla in it like the advert suggests just really was not it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm not going to be using it to try to make quesadillas or enclosed empanadas or anything like that. So, oh, whatever. As the week came to an end, I felt like it was time to get rid of some of my shoes, specifically these boots that I wore for the majority of the time that I was homeless and living in my car. And they're broken, they're busted, you can feel the snow through them. They did their job, they served me well, but now they're done, so farewell.